Welcome back to Robin Minds. Earlier on, we discussed some of the factors that are going to affect us in 2026, looking at tax. Now, we move the conversation to politics and governance, institutions, political climate, what needs to be done to restore confidence and to ensure that both parties, the citizens and those in power, are adhering to the contract and delivering on their promises and being accountable. Joining me for this conversation is a leadership advocate in the person of Daniel Otabor. Welcome to Robin Minds.
Thank you
and
so much.
Happy 2026.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Now, let's dive right into the conversation. We're looking at governance, politics.
Yes.
This is a big one for Nigerians,
yes.
especially as this is the penultimate year before
Yes.
the 2027
elections.
national elections.
Yes.
I think that's what's on everybody's minds. And you can
Yes.
see that with our politicians, with the way they've been defecting and,
Absolutely.
you know, making promises. But how would you describe this political climate as we start off this new year?
I think it's very unstable. I think it's shaping though. It's shaping. In recent times, a few days ago, one of the heavyweights just defected to the ADC, and that has been making wave on the internet, right? You can see everyone has been talking about it. So I think it's unstable, but it's taking shape. It's taking shape. Absolutely.
And what do you think needs to happen to stabilize this political climate, to restore confidence in, you know, the mind of Nigerians?
Yes.
Because, I mean, look at it. This is a year before the general elections. By now, Nigerians have a lot of questions. Like,
Yes.
what are our options?
Yes.
Are we going to be guaranteed safety at the polls?
Yeah.
Do our voices really count? Like, the thumbprints, are they going to
Yes.
reflect what we really feel? So
Yes.
what needs to be done by this government to just restore that confidence?
Well, the truth about the matter is that I don't know that this government wants to do anything to make it work. It's not obvious to me by their body language. They want to keep the status quo because that's how they can keep on being in office. But I would say something to you, that there's an alternative that is actually shaping. And everyone around the world, including Nigeria here, everyone knows that there's an alternative that is shaping. And for that reason, I would say give us some time, give it some time, and things will start to work. But as it concerns whether our votes count, indeed, people have, in the last elections, we had the lowest turnouts in our history. And I understand why that happened. But I would say in the coming elections, people must understand that if you stop coming out to vote, you would give them the power, you would abdicate your responsibility to them in how they run the government. So you must come out to vote. And you must come out in your numbers. Because if you come out in ones and twos, it's easy for them to rig elections, right? But you must come out in your numbers and just be there, cast your vote, and stay for your vote to be counted. Yes.
But the person who is watching and saying, yes, this is great,
Yes.
but I tried it last year,
Yes, yes.
or not last year, the last election
elections, yes.
cycle, and my safety was compromised.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I wasn't happy with the results
Yes.
or with the sanctity of the process.
Yes.
What advice do you have for them?
I would say, I would ask the person the question, are you currently safe? On election day, you said you weren't safe, but are you currently safe? You must find a way to do something about your current condition. The day you give up on voting, that's the day you have become a defeated person. So if you always show up during the elections, always cast your vote. I mean, in the last election, there was a lady who came out, she was beaten, there was blood, and then she went back to the hospital and came back to cast her vote. That's the sort of perseverance that we need in the coming elections. Because once you are defeated before the elections, it's easy for them to rig the elections and do whatever they want to do. So don't give up. It's tough. I have been in Nigeria all my life. Right. And I understand what that person might be thinking, and most Nigerians are thinking the same thing. I came out the last election, this was what happened, yada, yada, yeah, I get it. But that should not deter you from coming out again, because these people in power have not given up. So why should you be the one to give up? So you can't be the one to give up. You can't.
I think Nigerians
Yes.
are looking to know what the options are.
Yes.
And for the longest time, the
Yes.
opposition has not really played their cards. We
Absolutely.
haven't seen anyone until very recently.
Yes.
You know, some power moves have been made,
Absolutely.
some declarations.
Yes.
I mean, you have Ikwakanso saying that
Yes.
he can be vice to a Peter Obi.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you make of this opposition that has been, for lack of a better word,
Yes.
been very quiet,
Yes. Yes.
and has not really risen to the occasion? And then it's like the last minute. This is
Yes.
when it all happens. 2027 is
Yes.
just when we, you know,
Go and
vote.
cast our votes,
So
yes.
what would you make of the strength of the opposition now?
I think it's very solid. If you look at the people that have come together in the coalition, it's a very, very solid team. Even the ruling party knows that. It's a very solid team. So they would try to discredit the team. They would try to push narratives, push propaganda, but they are very, very terrified. You could see that from how they've been tweeting left, right, and center, just trying to discredit the person of Peter Obi, who just defected to ADC, right? And that just tells you a lot, that the alternative and the coalition is shaping, and they are very solid, and they know it. So I would say to the Nigerian people, do not be troubled, right? Pay attention. If it's possible for you to join a political party, join a political party. But more importantly, get your PVC, wait and see in the coming months. You would see that there is a viable candidate that you can boldly stand behind and vote for. They shouldn't be worried. They shouldn't be worried.
But you see, with the opposition again,
Yes.
you say there's a strong coalition, but
Yes.
Nigerians are still asking who's going to get the presidential ticket of
Yes.
the ADC.
Yeah.
We don't know who's going to get that.
I understand that.
And then when you look at the ruling party, they
Yes.
have consolidated power because just look at the number of defections.
Absolutely.
So what does that say of the opposition, that
Yeah.
even the people in the opposition have left the opposition to join the
Yes.
ruling party,
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
saying that we have a strong coalition? How?
Yes. So I would say this, in our democracy, people are more, politicians are more concerned about their political party than the people, because the people are not the ones electing the government. So they give more preference, they give more power to the political parties. So for example, things are not working as they should. Maybe at the macro level, things are good, but once you bring it down to the everyday Nigerians, they are still suffering, they are hungry, they are insecure, they're being kidnapped every day, right? So the masses know that whether or not you are defecting to an APC or whatever political party you are defecting to, it doesn't change the reality on ground, right? So the masses, they are fully aware. The masses are not the ones defecting. It is those who are trying to, save their faces and try and get like sort of assurance that they will come back into power in the next elections. They're the ones defecting. The masses are very much waiting for the election. They're not defecting with the people. I mean, one of the things that I have noticed is that when you see these mobilizations happening, you realize that if you talk to people that are there, they have been paid to come to those gatherings. They have no business in those gatherings, right? So one thing I want to also say is that poverty has become a tool.
But let's look at
Yes.
poverty, for example.
Yes.
Poverty, cost of living,
Yes.
inflation. Nigerians have had really hard times. But
Absolutely.
do you think it's possible that 2026 will be the year of renewed hope, where this government will make the lives of Nigerians easier, and we will begin to see some of those promises fulfilled? And with that, we're more than confident to support that change, because we want to see continuity.
So, I would use the tax reform as an example to answer the question. You see, the tax reform is something that would definitely work, right? But when you look at the way they've gone about it, it doesn't show confidence. It doesn't speak confidence. There's no trust in the system. There's just so much controversies around a tax reform, right? In the National Assembly, someone has said this wasn't the law that we passed. You would expect to say, okay, let us bring this and investigate what happened. But guess what? It was passed. The president said it's still going to go on the 1st of January. So whether or not the government has good intentions is inconsequential. The way they're going about the activities they're doing, it's just not helping Nigerians to trust them.
But let's say that
Yes.
the tax reform is implemented, there's more money, and this
Yes.
government spends on the people, prices come down, we become safer,
yes,
and we begin to have the Nigeria of our dreams.
yes.
Do you think that's enough to sway the average man and woman at the polls?
The same thing happened with subsidy. So it's one thing to tell the people that you will do something. It's another thing for you to do it. We were promised that once we take out subsidy, you know, it's going to help us improve our infrastructure, security, and all of that stuff. You are mopping up cash. But for who? It is not for the people. So it is not the case that when they get more money, will people start to feel it? That's not the case. That's a conversation that they use to caress the people. It is not true. It is not factual. Time and time again, we've been told and we've seen it happen. Subsidy has been removed, but people are still suffering. So we can only hope that the things that they say, they keep to it. But Nigerians in their critical mass and their numbers know that it is false. They know.
So there has to be alternatives.
Yes.
You can't just vote for thin air.
Yes.
So who do you think are the strong contenders? Because this is a very formidable administration.
Absolutely.
With the number of defections. And we
Yes.
know how governors play. They deliver their states.
Yes.
So
Yes.
who are the candidates that you're expecting to see in this presidential race to go against this current administration?
If in my own opinion, I would say that if the ADC truly wants to compete and win in 2027, the person that they should give the ticket to, and I want them to have internal democracy. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to just say, just choose someone and give the person the presidential ticket, right? I want them to have an internal democracy where someone comes up and wins that primaries. And I'm hoping that person is Peter Obi. And I'll tell you why. In the last elections, Peter Obi did not have any state governor. No state governor. And he had 6 million votes, allegedly. People are saying that it could have been more, right? He had zero governor, and he had 6 million votes. Right now, without the backing of the people that are currently in ADC, if they are very serious, they will look at those numbers and say to themselves, if we can back this individual, right, with our political experience, with our knowledge, right, it is very, very possible that this person can contend with the ruling party and win. Because the people truly love Peter Obi. It is a love that is not born out of, people are getting paid. People truly love this man. People are defending this man every day without getting paid. Most of the people defending the ruling parties get paid. And it's a fact. Most of them, they are either benefiting from the government or they are getting paid to defend the government. But the people that are defending this man called Peter Obi, they're not getting paid. They love the man. They believe in the man. If the ADC can see this and capitalize on it, I promise you, it's going to be something incredible in 2027.
So you just only have one name that you've put forward?
Well, for ADC, I would say a Peter Obi. There are other people that are still coming up. This is my opinion.
Okay.
There's Amechi, who is also interested in the ticket. People are saying Atiku is interested in the ticket. There's Kwankwaso who has said he doesn't mind being the vice president. So let's see. But for now, I would say Peter Obi.
What do you make of the ADC with the different defections happening? What does this say about the political ideologies of the people who have made this political party their home? Does it not give the impression of strange bedfellows where you have people from different political backgrounds all coming together to the ADC?
Yes. One of the things I would say clearly is that in Nigeria's political, ecosystem, in Nigeria's, we do not have an ideology for parties. There's no distinctive ideology. That's the reason why you would see a governor who won an election under PDP, defects to APC, comes back to PDP, goes to...
So it's just a vehicle to win elections and to contest elections.
It's just a vehicle. There's no ideology, separating, differentiating these political parties. So for ADC right now, it's a coalition. People who have been there, have been in the political space for a long time, who know the current political climate in Nigeria, and they are saying to themselves, we've messed up by bringing this government into power. We regret it. And as such, we want to correct our mistakes. So they are coming together.
So they're coming together for a purpose.
For a purpose, yes.
Now, my final question will be on structure, because everyone says to deliver the elections, you need structure.
Absolutely.
Boots on ground, you need you need to be visible,
Absolutely.
you need to be active, you need
Yes.
to protect the votes.
Yes.
And then, of course, you cannot conduct an election or talk about an election without talking about the role of INEC. So how
Absolutely.
confident are you that INEC will deliver,
Yes.
will do what it needs to do
Yes.
to ensure that the average Nigerian shows
Yes.
up at the polls? But
Yes.
at the same time, do you think that the ADC has the structure to deliver the votes?
So I would answer the last question and then I go back. So the ADC is building a formidable structure. I can tell you that for a fact. So if you look at their defection, when people defect and then you see the gatherings, people are actually looking forward to being a part of the ADC. Their structure is growing and is solid. It's well grounded in politics. So I would say to you that yes, ADC is building a formidable structure. I would also say that over time we would see what it's going to look like for us as a people in terms of who is going to win the primaries, who is going to be the vice presidential candidate for the party, and what is going to be the promise to the people. Right now, it's not clear to us.
It's not even clear who is going to get this ticket.
It isn't.
We don't know.
It isn't.
I was expecting you to mention an article.
It isn't.
You only mentioned Amechi, Peter Obi, but I think the obvious one is that is article going to come back again?
So,
and not to forget my question on INEC.
So INEC has a role to play in building the trust of the people. And I'm hoping that with Osun State's election coming up, that they show that they are for the people. INEC is supposed to be independent, right? I would say that when Peter Obi made a statement in Enugu, he said, every pre-election matter should be sorted right now before the elections. We don't want to go to the elections, and then after the election, we are saying X, Y, Z, and you're saying it's pre-election matters. Right now, INEC has a responsibility to decide on whose side they want to be, the people's side or the ruling party side, like they've always been. Unfortunately, the people do not trust INEC, but they can still win the trust of the people. Like I said, Osun State elections is coming up, and I'm hoping it's an example to show the people that, hey, we are here to... And the man who is currently the chairman of INEC is a reputable gentleman. But I know for certain that reputation sometimes when you come into government just kind of like phases out. But
time will tell,
yes.
And like you said, we have examples for and opportunities for INEC to prove their mettle even before the 2027 elections. And all eyes are on the opposition to see who eventually emerges as strong presidential ticket holders and contenders. Thank you very much, Daniel Otabor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was nice.
Happy 2026 once again.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.